Daisy's toys. Justin came over about half an hour later. He gave me a big hug and said, "Sorry, Augie." We all sat down in the living room, not saying anything. For some reason, Via and I had taken all of Daisy's toys from around the house and had put them in a little pile on the coffee table. Now we just stared at the pile. "She really is the greatest dog in the world," said Via. "I know," said Justin, rubbing Via's back. "She just started whimpering, like all of a sudden," I said. Via nodded. "Like 2 seconds after you left the table," she said. "Mum was going to go after you, but Daisy just started, whimpering." "Like how?" I said. "Just whimpering. I don't know," said Via. "Like howling?" I asked. "Augie, like whimpering," she answered impatiently. "She just started moaning like something was really hurting her, and she was panting like crazy. Then she just kind of plopped down, and Mum went over and tried to pick her up, and whatever, she was obviously hurting. She bit Mum." "What?" I said. "When Mum tried to touch her stomach, Daisy bit her hand," Via explained. "Daisy never bites anybody," I answered. "She wasn't herself," said Justin. "She was obviously in pain." "Daddy was right," said Via. "We shouldn't have let her get this bad." "What do you mean?" I said. "He knew she was sick?" "Augie, Mum's taken her to the vet like 3 times in the last 2 months. She's been throwing up left and right. Haven't you noticed?" "But I didn't know she was sick." Via didn't say anything, but she put her arm around my shoulders and pulled me closer to her. I started to cry again. "I'm sorry, Augie," she said softly. "I'm really sorry about everything, okay? You forgive me? You know how much I love you, right?" I nodded. Somehow that fight didn't matter much now. "Was Mummy bleeding?" I asked. "It was just a nip," said Via. "Right there." She pointed to the bottom of her thumb to show me exactly where Daisy had bitten Mum. "Did it hurt her?" "Mummy's okay, Augie. She's fine." Mum and Dad came home 2 hours later. We knew the second they opened the door and Daisy wasn't with them that Daisy was gone. We all sat down in the living room around the pile of Daisy's toys. Dad told us what happened at the animal hospital, how the vet took Daisy for some x-rays and blood tests, then came back and told them she had a huge mass in her stomach. She was having trouble breathing. Mum and Dad didn't want her to suffer, so Daddy picked her up in his arms like he always liked to do, with her legs straight up in the air, and he and Mum kissed her goodbye over and over again and whispered to her while the vet put a needle into her leg. And then, after about a minute, she died in Daddy's arms. It was so peaceful, Daddy said. She wasn't in any pain at all, like she was just going to sleep. A couple of times while he talked, Dad's voice got trembly and he cleared his throat. I've never seen Dad cry before, but I saw him cry tonight. I had gone into Mum and Dad's bedroom looking for Mum to put me to bed, but saw Dad sitting on the edge of the bed taking off his socks. His back was to the door, so he didn't know I was there. At first I thought he was laughing because his shoulders were shaking, but then he put his palms on his eyes, and I realised he was crying. It was the quietest crying I've ever heard, like a whisper. I was going to go over to him, but then I thought maybe he was whisper crying because he didn't want me or anyone else to hear him. So I walked out and went to Via's room, and I saw Mum lying next to Via on the bed, and Mum was whispering to Via, who was crying. So I went to my bed and put on my pyjamas without anyone telling me to, and put the nightlight on and turned the light off and crawled into the little mountain of stuffed animals I had left on my bed earlier. It felt like that all had happened 1,000,000 years ago. I took my hearing aids off and put them on the night table and pulled the covers up to my ears and imagined Daisy snuggling with me, her big wet tongue licking my face all over like it was her favourite face in the world. And that's how I fell asleep.